Hey, Alex.
Oh, John.
You know what I hate?
What's that?
Committing to emotions.
Yeah, I hear you. But, John, sometimes it's better to just feel shitty, which is probably why you joined the show. Anyway, we watched Thor, Love and Thunder. Okay, so Thor, Love and Thunder, featuring both Love and Thunder for the first time ever.
Yeah.
So I saw this movie in the theater. This is a place where you can go in public and watch the movie with other people and catch COVID. And I gotta tell you, I've seen some depressing-ass movies in the theater, but there's rarely a movie that I came out of that was like, man, that was really sad more than this one. Like, this movie really made me sad. It's... Like, I am almost worried about Taika Waititi's mental state after watching this film.
Really? Well,
it's bleak.
See, it can't settle on a tone for me. That's part of my issue with it.
I have the same issue, but when it gets bleak, it is fucking bleak.
Yeah, I see. It doesn't feel bleak to me because he can't settle on anything. Like, the tone's all over the place, and then nothing matters. So it's hard to feel bad about anything. Deeper than the or what am I trying to say here? It's sad that Natalie Portman ends up dying, but I'm sure they'll find a way to bring her back because they always do. For the most part, or they'll make a joke out of it later. It doesn't matter. It doesn't. He'll just go back to being dumb again.
Well, they technically made a joke out of it at the end of the movie.
Yeah, I don't even remember what was that.
Oh, did you watch the second after credit sequence?
No, absolutely not.
Oh, yeah. She wakes up in Valhalla and Heimdall says, hey, welcome to Valhalla.
Ugh, yeah. Yeah. It doesn't fucking matter. Nothing in this movie matters. Whatever. It's fine. It's a fun enough movie in places. It's just when it wants to be serious, it doesn't have me.
No, I had a few moments that I think I wrote down a couple of them. At least one I know I wrote down, but that's towards the end of the film. But yeah, tonally, that's part of my worry about Taika. It's just this movie's all over the fucking place, in tone. And I don't think he understands where comedy is supposed to end and drama is beginning. Cause this is a wonderful performance from Christian Bale.
Yes.
I love what he's doing as Gore.
It's very fun.
And it is wasted in this movie because he keeps just making jokes out of it instead of, I'm not saying this is Heath Ledger or anything, but you've got a really good performance happening right now. Maybe just tailor the movie around that instead of you doing. I made a note here that I said it after when I watched it in the theater that this might be the last time I like Taika Waititi because all of the jokes are just oh, you're doing the same joke again. It's not the same joke, but it's just that Taika style where it's am I done with him? Am I finally just finished?
I definitely need a break. And I think some of it though is I can't look at this movie and go like with Jojo Rabbit. I think it's easier to go okay, Taika Waititi. But it's with any Marvel movie, here's this creative force of Taika Waititi fighting the Marvel machine. And working together with parts, but there's other stuff no, you have to have this, and it's got to be this epic thing. And that's not what I don't think he does that very well. I think he, part of, let's say, What We Do in the Shadows is great, is because it takes the big concept of these vampires. And what if we just made it so they're everyday jerks and whatever, deflates it. But when you're spending every moment deflating things and then you want to build it up to something, it doesn't work. I have a hard time feeling that that impact if you're going to make jokes out of it constantly. At the beginning, when you're talking about all this stuff that's formed Thor to this position, all these losses he's had, and you're cracking wise about it. Okay, I don't feel that strongly about it.
Yeah, but I think that's some of Taika's humor going too far, where it's just the. Well, let's do it in order real quick. So we start with a really upbeat opening where we watch Gore's daughter dehydrate to death as he prays for God's help. yay, Marvel
Yeah.
movies. He ends up stumbling onto the glade of his god, and his god is just an absolute asshole. And it's like, yeah, there's no afterlife, there's no reward. Fuck you.
And I will say, like, again, for full credit for Christian Bale about what a great job he does here, because that scene. This is because I texted you about this, and I will.
Yeah.
This complaint really just lies at this scene and some of the opening stuff, where I was like, is the CG in this movie supposed to look really bad? Because the scene with him and his god, they're never in the same. They're like not really in the same shot. There's never any sense of space between them. And finally, when you see them, like, because when the god reaches out and chokes Christian Bale for daring to question him, like Bale looks weird, like a PlayStation 2 character, and it was just surprisingly bad. The rest of the movie, I think, looks good, particularly like when they're on the planet in the center of the universe or whatever, in the shadow or whatever. That stuff's great, but that opening stuff looks really bad. And it just felt rushed. But the more you read, the more you read about the way that Marvel works and just runs through their CG people and makes last minute decisions and stuff like that, I certainly don't blame the artists behind it at all. It just seems like management decisions.
I clocked that same scene. It was just funny that I thought the god looked weird.
Oh, I think the god looks weird too.
Christian Bale side. I thought the god looked. I was like, there's just the scaling of him feels off or whatever. It just doesn't. Because
it's an amazingly powerful moment, and I like that it's doing this at all. Like that it's tackling something like this. I thought that was kind of interesting, but the execution of it was very bad. But Christian Bale, amazing, great, does so good.
Yeah. So yeah, he gets the Necrosword and he swears upon the universe, all gods will die. Cool thing to swear.
Yeah.
And then this is where the Taika stuff, like, I'm starting to get a sniff, because we go from that to, hi, I'm Korg. I'm a funny little rock man, and I'm going to tell you a story about, and then Thor, he made love to a wolf woman who was on top of a woman wolf. Which, like, 3 movies ago, I would have been like, oh, what a delightful little turn of phrase. But it's like, that's all of your jokes. It's just like, you're saying a thing and then you're saying the opposite thing. Or I'm saying a simple thing, but it's so simple that it's funny.
Yeah, it's like, I
don't know what that accent's really going for.
No,
but
I
tried.
It was German. But it's like, I can't read too much Terry Pratchett in a row. I like Terry Pratchett a lot.
Yeah,
but there's just like, okay, like I need, this voice is very specific and he has a specific voice and I'm good for a little bit. But I think some of I think the first, like, everything between that Christian Bale scene at the beginning and then I think really when the plot kicks up, like that first half hour of the movie is largely pointless. I feel like you could have whittled that down to like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of ground to cover, and I will admit, and you're going to hear me ask Alex a few questions, I don't remember so much stuff after. Like, I barely remember some stuff from, like, Infinity War and whatever. I don't really remember Ragnarok that well because I didn't like it. But so I know that there's some stuff they had to cover. Like, I picked up from context clues what was going on with Valkyrie, but I don't really remember that character much well from Ragnarok.
Well, she's the president of New Asgard.
Right.
Is really all you need to know.
Yeah.
So... In the Korg talking part is where it's some of the Taika thing. The other part he goes, where he's like, a lot of people died, and Thor's mom died, and his dad died, and that guy, and that guy, and that guy, writing off the Warriors 3 from the earlier movies. Mm-hmm. Where I'm not saying those are like epic, amazing characters, but it's like, dude, you're directing this movie. Like, this movie does have a lineage. Like, you don't have to shit on all of it, and not for a particularly good joke. It's just...
Yeah, well, and if you're trying to explain, like, if you're trying to give your character pathos, and just being like, well, these idiots, who cares? I mean, this guy does, but for whatever reason, but, it doesn't matter. Yeah. What got me with that was when they were talking about Loki. I was like, my brother died again, and again, and again, and again. This is supposed to be a huge formative thing, and you're cracking wise about it, but okay, fine.
Yeah, so we join up with Thor, and he's with the Guardians of the Galaxy, which happened at the end of the one with all the guys in it.
Mm-hmm.
Infinity Gauntlet War times, whatever the fuck that was called.
Yeah, because was he with them? Were they with him when he went and got the Peter Dinklage to make the thing?
And then they went to Earth and fought Thanos, and then I think they left together again.
Sure.
So they've been like, I think they called them the Asgardians of the Galaxy.
Right.
He's meditating, and waiting to be, his quote is just waiting for someone to say, Thor, we need your help with this to win this battle. And then they cut to Chris Pratt going, Thor, we need your help to win this battle. And it's just like, again, I'm not going to just shit on Taika Waititi jokes, but like, you've done that exact setup kind of joke so many fucking times. Of like, and then the thing, oh, look, the thing. Okay, great. Wow, what if, I mean, says the guy that thinks cloaca is a punchline, but still, it's, I'm kind of.
But you aren't paid billions of dollars to do that.
Yeah, exactly. I'm literally doing this for free.
Yeah. Yeah, and then he goes and fights the battle, and I did like this opening scene despite Chris Pratt being in it. But like when they're fighting, he comes out and gives this like rousing speech about what another great Thor adventure, and because I like that aspect of him where he is kind of still this pompous asshole, but in this one like he's this pompous asshole, but like he means so much, he means so well now. Like, it's not just like, it's me, Thor. It's like, hey, we're doing this together. I've learned to make friends. So there was some character growth. Because part of my beef with Thor in this a little bit is that, I don't know, there's not a whole lot of character change. And you can only keep him like this dumb for so long. And I think in the previous thing, like by killing all these people, giving him an eye patch and making him go, like that was somewhat interesting. And then to have that like all kind of undone and he's like, whoop-a-doo, I'm Thor again, was not. I'm like, okay, I get that you know, there's this core element to the character that's supposed to be there, but it's not that interesting at a certain point.
But at least this one, someone explored the fact that like the doop-de-doo style of Thor is covering up his like the intrinsic pain of his being. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, oh, that was interesting at least, but I don't think it was particularly well done. I did just on a small note during the battle sequence where he's beating up the aliens and the cathedral collapses, which, you know, if I hadn't seen movies like this before, I'd find funny. Mm-hmm. But I did like him stopping the two kind of alien motorcycles by doing a split. And in the background, it's just Chris Pratt just being like, oh, God, Jesus Christ. Yes. And just all the other guardians just being exasperated by him being like so, in quotes, awesome. And that was very fun for me. Because I feel like I'm bagging on this movie too much. I'm bagging this movie because I'm disappointed in it. Because I feel like it was really close to being something pretty cool.
Yeah, well, I'll wait till we get more into it. But like I don't want to say that like I hated this because I didn't. But there's a lot of things that I'm kind of meh about. But I did like that. Like I said, I like that whole opening bit, and then so then they in trying to save the temple, they destroy the temple, and the grateful alien race thanks them by giving them some screaming goats, which was
love it so much.
Funny twice. I need that, and when they hit the moon, funny. The rest of it, I got so annoyed by.
Disagree hard with them hitting the moon, but we'll get there later. I liked. So the goats are from actual Norse mythology. Were you familiar with them?
Nope.
So Thor has two goats that are immortal. So sometimes he'll chop them up and eat them while they're still alive, and then their shit grows back the next day.
Cool.
Which is, it just makes the one joke slightly deeper, where he's like, we can use them for meat, and they shut up immediately. Is a somewhat deep cut to like Norse. This is the nerdiest shit I've ever said. That's not even remotely true. This isn't in the top fucking 40, but still, it's a nerdy ass thing. But I found it amusing on a mythological level. Like, oh wow, you referenced the Thor goats and also the fact that he eats them alive in the actual mythology. But yeah, no, they got annoying real quick. It was funny twice, and and we cut to another just rousing fun time of. Hey, look, Natalie Portman's back, and she's got stage 4 cancer.
Yeah.
Yay, Marvel movies.
And you had told me about this already. And so I was already ready to be mad about it. And sure enough, I was mad about it. Because they do she notices that the kid getting chemo next to her is reading her book about the the Frost Bridge or whatever they call it. Bifrost. And she's like, do you understand how that works? And then he says no. And she's like, well, have you ever seen Interstellar or Event Horizon? And proceeds to do the same thing where you fold the paper and poke it. And I was like, that doesn't make it any better. It's just you just are saying like, I know this is dumb, but like you didn't need to do that at all. You just went, hey, I've seen these two movies and they do this. Ugh.
I loved it only because I was like in the theater. I'm like, I can't wait to text John about this. Like, I was so excited about how annoyed you'd be, and I didn't think you'd ever watch this movie because I didn't think we were going to do it on the show. Yeah. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to have to describe it to you at some point.
Yeah, don't make me think of a better movie during your movie, and I would apply that to only one of those though. Event Horizon. But yeah, so she's got the big C, the big casino. Is that directly related to something, or is it just no? She's got the
no. There's a fan theory that because she had one of the Infinity Gems back when it was a gas in her in Thor 2, maybe that gave her cancer. But they had a flashback to her mom having cancer, so I think it's just regular old fashioned cancer.
Mm-hmm. Cancer classic.
Yeah, exactly. It's none of that new stuff, and it's from Mexico, so it's got authentic cane sugar in the chemo. So she hears like a whisper from her Norse mythology book on her shelf, and Mjolnir is calling to her, which brings us to New Asgard and your other favorite scene, the inexplicable Old Spice commercial.
I cannot tell you how angry this makes me. It is a drop in the bucket of this movie. Like it is just a moment. It's like 3 seconds of a almost 2-hour movie, but they're doing this like, hey, here's what Valkyrie's been up to, running, Asgard, New Asgard, whatever. And there's a moment where she's filming an Old Spice commercial, and she just goes, "Smell like a king" with Old Spice. They fucking put an Old Spice commercial in the movie, and not like,
yep.
Like, hey, here's a person using Old Spice. Man, I just love Old Spice. Like, they put an actual commercial in there, and I've been spoiled, I think, with the pandemic and then seeing movies at repertory theaters that you don't get the fucking 20 and all that bullshit. And the few times I've been out to the big cineplexes and seen that, man, it's maddening. So you got to sit through all that shit, and then you're watching the movie, and then there's an ad in the middle of the fucking movie. Fuck you. Oh, it made me so mad.
Yeah, it's up there with the Coke commercial in the original Superman, where it's just like, wow, this is like really fucking obvious. Like this is. Yeah. I
mean, at least Wayne's World turned it into a joke,
yeah.
But it was just the Wayne's World thing. And it's a minor point, and it's definitely, it's more Marvel than Taika Waititi, but that just felt really nasty.
So there in New Asgard, there's something that made me pretty angry. In the background of the shot, there is an ice cream cone store that's called Infinity Cones.
Mm-hmm.
Spelled with a Z, already annoying. But it's the Infinity Gauntlet holding an ice cream cone. That would be like Hitler's hamburgers.
Yeah.
Like that man killed half the fucking universe like a few years ago.
But they're back, so it's fine.
You know how many people committed suicide because of the snap?
Right.
Like how many planes fell out of the sky? Trillions still died, even after it was fixed. You wouldn't make a fucking ice cream cone. It is.
Yeah.
Obviously it's not real, but it's like you got to do better than that movie. That really annoyed the shit out of me.
Again, nothing matters in this. Like it doesn't. No, it's fine. Everyone's fine. Even though they explicitly spend time in Endgame being like, yeah, here's a support group for people that are awful and like so much worse off because their partners, loved ones died or whatever. But because they're all back, that's fine. All that trauma is just gone. Because it's a superhero movie. It's fine. But yeah, no, that was pretty ridiculous. I caught that as well. But I didn't think about it that hard, and you raise a very good point.
And for positive points of the fun category, they brought back the weird Asgardian plays for this one with Matt Damon, and I didn't know who the other guy was.
See, was that in the third one or something?
Was in Ragnarok.
That's the third one, yeah. See, because I didn't remember that, and I was really annoyed. Because it just reminded...
Yeah, it was in the other one. Yeah.
It made me think of Austin Powers Goldmember, and how it starts with like a film version of Austin Powers, and it's just a way to jam a bunch of celebrity cameos in there. And it kind of like, oh man, this movie's up its own butt. But if it was in Ragnarok, fine. I just didn't really enjoy it.
It's a reference to...
I liked the stupid effects in it. Like the way they do, like when he throws the hammer and it's on a string. Like that stuff I got a kick out of. But then like when Melissa McCarthy shows up,
I enjoyed the Melissa McCarthy showing up, and I like the dumb effects were like costume change or whatever, and their costumes like
that was great. Yeah,
fail to be ripped off. Yeah, I found that amusing.
It's just a bit I did not remember from Ragnarok, so that's on me.
Do you know who the guy that the other guy is? It's Matt Damon and somebody.
Yeah, it's another fucking Hemsworth.
Oh, is that Hemsworth?
Yeah,
okay.
we got too many of these things. I got to keep learning about them. No, I don't need new Hemsworths.
Well, you're going to hate to find out that one of the little girls at the end of the movie is his real daughter.
We have enough Hemsworths. We're all good on Hemsworths.
I don't know. He's fucking very attractive. So
Yeah.
I think the more he breeds, the better.
We got him though. We're fine. I mean, in his brother, the other one, Liam. Yeah, Cram. Yeah, they're all great. Yeah, but it was kind of cute, and it got me thinking because I remember being like, yeah, not really caring about Valkyrie that much, and thinking about just how I've never been a huge Tessa Thompson fan, and I realized that some of that is because I think my first exposure to her was on Westworld, and her character was so hateable, and I was already so mad at that show that I was just like, man, fuck this. So I still associate that with her, but she's a fine actress. She's, you know, I like her in Annihilation a lot, and she's fine in this. I think just underutilized.
Yeah, underutilized is a good way to put it. In Asgard, they Natalie Portman sees the shards of Narsil. I mean Mjolnir. Sorry, nerd reference.
Oh.
And they come back together, and she becomes the mighty Jane Thor. Well, we don't see that yet, but yeah, we all know what's happening there. In space, where they're looking for distress calls, and we see Sif. Sif we haven't seen since like the second movie, I think, or the first movie.
Yeah, I never saw 2, and I only remember the character because I played the Lego video games. I'm
pretty sure she's only in the first one, but she showed up on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which I enjoyed that show. I think she was only on 1 or 2, maybe just 1. But anyway, so there's SOS, and it's like, hey, we got to break up the Asgardians of the Galaxy. And I did like, well, we get the shitty feeling speech from Chris Pratt, which, if it wasn't Chris Pratt, I think this would be a nice little speech, but I don't really like him too much.
Yeah, I mean, it's essentially the better to have loved and lost than to never have loved at all. But done in a hip way.
But I did like just look into the eyes of the people that you love, and Hemsworth trying to like eke his way in to make eye contact with him. Fun joke. Well done. I don't like you, Chris Pratt, but that was fun.
That the undercutting of that moment, like with the gag, worked for me because it's like, yeah, but that's their relationship, and that's Thor looking for something. Like there was weight there to that. And again, like thinking about actors, it's like, man, I wish we could have gotten Guardians of the Galaxy 1 Chris Pratt for that role. That would have been pretty cool. Like I just don't buy him being a lovable oaf now. I don't know what it is. I think he's like too skinny. He's been in too much like stupid shit. I don't know. I can't.
No, he's just like his kind of charisma changed. Like he's still charismatic, but he's not. He doesn't have that kind of likability he used to have. Yeah,
something shifted there. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, which is unfortunate because that first Guardians of the Galaxy, he was a charmer.
Well, it just makes me think of the only reason I say skinny is it just makes me think of like the Tracy Morgan joke. That, you know, it's like, as long as I've got this gut, I can be funny. You can't like be handsome and funny. And I think that's something where it's like, yeah, you're like a beefcake now. It seems weird for you to be like this same kind of, have the same kind of tone, but whatever.
So we go back to New Asgard, and there's a big fight. And Thor has a cool helmet. Not a cool helmet. It looks stupid, but I like that they went that way. I like that he's got a big helmet on.
Yeah, because Gore the God Butcher is attacking. Well, we find because he meets up with Sif and at the corpse of this giant god that he liked, and it's Gore the God Butcher had killed it, and he's got the Necro Sword, has been going around killing people, and he's making his way to Thor, and so he goes to New Asgard, and I think it's just because it's helped by the fact I've been playing a lot of Elden Ring, but I love the design of Gore the God Butcher and his Necro Sword, and how they just kept it simple. He's just wearing these robes. And that's it. It's not this like wild ass design. It's very creepy, and the necro monsters are creepy. The cage they put the kids in is fucking awesome.
That cage is great. That cage is the best thing in this movie.
Yeah, but yeah. So he attacks the city, and Thor is trying to help, and then he's introduced to, oh my god, there's this fake Thor, this woman Thor that's fighting with what looks like my hammer, and I totally dig what they're doing with Mjolnir now, like how it splits apart into shards.
Yes.
And that was really cool. I got a huge kick out of that. And then when he realizes it's Natalie Portman, there's this really weird joke about like this burning house between them, like falling apart. Like it's played like it's a comedic beat, and it just doesn't work. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
That just felt really awkward and strange. Because also like, yeah, all the kids just got stolen. But yeah, this is a great time for this joke.
That didn't read too jokey to me. That like now that you say that, I can kind of see that, but that didn't pull my attention enough that it even occurred to me.
But it's just it's hard to like care about that. Like, oh, you saw your ex-girlfriend. Yeah, all the children just got stolen by a monster. I don't care about your love life, Thor. I'm sorry.
On the love life point, I could not love more the Stormbreaker being jealous of Thor and Mjolnir's old relationship, where Stormbreaker will just slowly kind of float in anytime he's getting it's so dumb, but I love it.
The first time they did it, it got a genuine laugh out of me, because where he's like eyeballing Mjolnir from like across the room, and like you just see Stormbreaker just kind of come in from the side. I think they dipped one too many times that well, at least one too many times. I will say, going back, I would watch an entire movie of like Korg's retelling of their relationship, like basically like Blue Valentine, but with Thor and Jane. That was so much fun to watch, and I thought like it told this story very well, and I liked them in it, even though it was largely voiceover. But just I would love to watch the movie about their growing relationship and dissolution of that relationship. That I thought was like an actual genuine moment in this movie.
Yeah,
and I also like that on his phone, because it can't not have a joke. But he gets a phone call from Nick Fury, and his phone says Nick Fury.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
I didn't like that they did the Jodie Foster joke twice.
That whole thing. I
use the term joke loosely. Yeah.
Korg in general, and I liked Korg in the third one, but not so much in this one.
He doesn't work in this one as well. One of the fan theories, which I like, because they're kind of like trying to write this movie out of the continuum, is that this movie is, because it's told by Korg.
Yeah,
it's an untrusted. What's it called?
Unreliable narrator.
Thank you. That word was not coming to me. Unreliable narrator. This is not actually part of the MCU.
Yeah, give me a break with that. Come on. Like, they spent a bunch of money on this. They're not that clever. Yeah. This isn't that kind of thing. I mean, I'm sorry you didn't like it, but this is part of the MCU.
Oh, no, it's not that people don't like it. Is they don't like how it fits into the universe. So like, no, this isn't real. So
that's even dumber. But fine, whatever, fine. It's your thing. Enjoy it however you want to.
So he astral projects to talk to Heimdall's son, Astrid.
Now here's a question, because you saw this in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
I had read or saw some tweet about something that they changed the way that he looks, that Axel looks in the astral projection from the movie. That like in the theatrical version, that it's a lot more like wavy and his head's not fully complete, but in the Disney Plus version, that there's his head. It doesn't really matter. I'm just curious, because again, it's an issue like I was saying before about the rushed schedules and changing minds, something like that. If I could see them totally going like, well, that didn't actually test well, we need to fix that. So I don't know.
I think you're right. Now that you say that, yeah, I do think it looked different in the theater, but I wouldn't put money on it. I mean, it doesn't really matter. But anyway, so the obsession with the 80s thing, I don't really love. And he's like, oh, I don't want to be called Astrid anymore. I'm Axel now, named after this guy from this band or whatever. And it's just, maybe it's because I'm also watching Cobra Kai, that it's just this like obsession with the 80s. Like young people would give a shit about Axl Rose right now. It kind of annoys me a little bit.
Yeah, it's odd, like, because I mean, you look back in the 80s and there's like obsessions with the 50s, and in the 90s it was the 70s a bit. That there's always this looking backwards. So that's not a new thing necessarily, but there is this huge like aesthetic push. I feel like we've been in that for a while, and I think I'm tired of that. But I also just am upset because of how old it made me feel. Because I'm like, why are they explaining Guns N' Roses? Oh my God, that band's 30 years old at least. And I got real sad.
Yeah, going on 40. Yeah. No, they're probably over 40 now.
Yeah. But it's like And talking about dipping in the well one too many times, the fucking Sweet Child of Mine lick. Oh, I got so tired of hearing that. Like, they have other songs, man. Like, did someone like it felt, it was to the point that it felt like one of the producers of this movie was like, look, I have so many CDs of this I've got to unload. Can we make this popular so I can sell this? Like, I don't know. Hey,
John, what are CDs?
There are things you can invest in. I was going to make a financial joke, but I don't know how money works. I'm on a podcast.
Yeah. I know the term high yield has something to do with it, but I literally don't even know what CD stands for.
Yeah. But, it was real heavy handed with that stuff.
Yes.
But I do like that, in classic sort of Disney Marvel style, it's a nice little thing that you can easily cut for Chinese audiences. But I did like the bit how it's, my name's, this subtle kind of like transgender fluid thing of just like, no, I want to be called Axel. Just call him Axel. It's fine. It doesn't matter what he's named. That's what he prefers to be called.
I am not a fan of people changing their first name, especially with anything to do with the letter X.
I think
it is unnecessary and frankly kind of stupid. I mean, ALX in a name?
Who needs it?
What is this? Some funny punchline?
Yeah, I mentioned this to Alex before, but I've spent too long doing the show that now when I write the name Alex, I add 2 X's as a start and have to go back and fix it later.
Haha.
Yeah. You win.
So they decide they're going to go to Omnipotent City. And they're getting all fired up. There's like a bit of a getting prep sequence. And there's a weird sequence. Okay, there's 2 weird things here. One, flashback to Jean's mom dying again. Hey, this movie's fun.
Oh my God. Sorry. There is a... I don't remember the exact timing of this. I meant to go back and watch it. But the way they retell the story is that like she's in the hospital bed and then it like fades to her sleeping in the hospital bed. So it just looks like she died mid-sentence.
Oh, yeah,
and it made me laugh. Like, that's not the goal of this scene, but I am laughing. That should not be happening right now.
I clocked that same thing. Not to that level, but like, oh, that was weird. But yeah, we get to see Jane's mom dying. Great. And we see her in her room. And this is when we realize that she's still very sick, even though she's got the power of the mighty Thor. They're like, hey, you got your hammer, you got your knife or whatever. And like, you got your, what is that, a hand grenade? No, it's a portable speaker. And then they have like just a weird dance sequence.
It goes on way too long.
It was really awkward.
Yeah.
I didn't like it.
Again, it felt like we have to sell this song or something like that. Because it should be like, no, it's a little song. Boop, ba, doop, ba, doop. All right, moving on. But no, you just hang on for a while. Also, I think it's really cool that that Mjolnir, when it gives her the power of Thor, applies makeup to her. I think that's very nice. Like, I couldn't stop at laughing about that, because when Natalie Portman is all like powerful, she gets some eyeshadow and some color.
So the other odd thing about them prepping to go to Omnipotent City is Thor's like, all right, we're going to go. I'm going to get the children, and we're going to come back, and we're going to feast. Not feast on the children. We don't do that anymore. That was dark times. Shameful times. Funny delivery. Funniest joke. Doesn't work in a Marvel movie. It doesn't work at all. Like, that's not... that could be funny in a different movie, not in this one.
Yeah, it stuck out like a sore thumb for that scene. It was just like, oh, okay, hey, it's time for a joke, everyone. Okay, now it's time for the movie. Omnipotent City. They go there because they figure they need the help of the gods, other gods, including Zeus. Oh my God, Thor's a big fan of Zeus. And this started some serious questions I had about Marvel stuff and led me to the conclusion, and I could be wrong, but seems like they jumped the gun real early with the Infinity Gauntlet storyline. Because now I constantly have questions about, like, well, where were the gods during the Infinity War thing? How come they didn't do anything? I know that the overall thing of this movie is that, oh, they're uncaring, whatever, but half of them would be gone. You'd think they'd be concerned there. Also, leaving aside the fact that that was a whole element, the cosmic element was a whole part of the comic series as well, and actually a bit I enjoyed a lot in that. But yeah, how come nothing happened there? How come they weren't involved? What were they doing?
I don't think gods got snapped.
How? Why? They're part of the universe.
Because they're gods.
They're part of the universe. Thor Asgardians got zapped.
Did they?
I mean, didn't they? I mean, they're all dead.
I don't remember ever seeing an Asgardian. I just assumed they were above that, you know. Like in the same way that, like, I mean, I'm pretty sure Thanos was reasonably sure he wasn't going to get snapped.
Well, I mean, he holds he's holding the gun. Why
No,
would
but
he
that's what I mean. Like, just if you're like of a godlike proportion or whatever. I mean, it's a good question, but I just I'm fine with just being like, yeah, they're gods, so it didn't matter to them, didn't count.
And then there's, as we'll get to the end of the movie, there's a huge question I have about why wasn't that involved in the Infinity Gauntlet, but we'll get there when we get there.
So, we go to Omnipotent City. We meet, there's some fun gods in the background. The best, of course, is the Bao god, the god of dumplings.
Yeah, like a weird-ass joke, but I'm always a fan of going to places and seeing weird guys. Like the cantina scene in Star Wars. Just like, hey, look at that weird god and that weird god.
Exactly.
Although, at the same time, I do think Korg meeting his god was like, hey, there he is. Hey, what's up? Okay, you just met your god, man. That seems like there should be something else, particularly because you set it up before. If they didn't, he just went, "Hey, there's the Rock People god," and he was like, "What's up?" That would have been fine. But because he was excited to see it, and then it didn't matter. Like, who gives a shit?
I would give two things to that. One, very funny that the Rock guy is on a throne of scissors, and then two, Korg is like best friends with a god for multiple years at this point. I suppose like. It is just kind of like, oh, yeah, there's another god. Like, I mean...
Yeah, I don't know, but it's like his god. But like I said, there's a line about how he's excited. He's like, oh, I wonder if my god will be there. And then when he is, he's like, yeah,
I guess so. Yeah.
That's just like, I wonder if they'll have sprinkles. Oh, they have sprinkles. You know, I don't know.
And it's not like you really see Korg get all that excited over the course of the films. He's not like
Fair enough. I just thought, like, why bother setting it up if it doesn't even matter?
Yeah, no, it's true.
But I did like the design. A lot of the gods were great. I thought that was cool.
I'm not a big Russell Crowe guy. But I found him just delightful as Zeus.
Have you ever seen The Nice Guys?
No.
We should do The Nice Guys. That's a great movie.
Okay.
But it's very fun. But yes, sorry to interrupt you, but I 100% agree. I love him as Zeus.
Yeah, really funny. The Omnipotent City sequence really kind of got me back in the movie. Where just like, oh, this is fun. This is amusing. I thought the Hemsworth getting naked joke really worked. I like how stupid it was that the ladies fainted, but his back tattoo.
The back tattoos were great.
Kiss.
The back tattoos were great. Yeah. The whole like, oh my god, he's nude is just like, okay, fine, whatever.
But the back tattoo saying "Rest in peace, Loki," and underneath it says "Rest in mischief." It's so stupid. I like stupid things when they're fun, and this reached that level of like, oh, stupid fun for a moment.
But it's also like, yeah, he'd get that tattoo. You know, like it's a tattoo a dumb guy would get, and that's a tattoo that dumb Thor would get.
Yeah. And Russell Crowe doing the thunderbolt tricks, and they just look so unimpressive when he's like spinning it around, like catching it behind his back.
Yeah, that annoyed me at first because I'm like, yeah, it's just like anything else anyone else does. But it was like, oh yeah, that's kind of the point, that it doesn't matter, that it's not. Yeah, that these gods suck. But yeah, I do like his performance as, you know, weird, like just schlubby Greek guy. I got a big kick out of that. And
the fight starts, and Korg gets thunderbolted, and I do like Taika's delivery of "Thor, I'm perishing." Fun terminology. It turns out that Cronin's the only part that's alive is their face.
Oh no, it's only their mouth.
Their mouth,
of course, because God forbid Taika Waititi shut the fuck up.
I'm whatever. I just pointed it out because it happened in the movie. I'm indifferent. I'm equally annoyed and delighted. It comes to like the zero-sum middle thing.
It's ice cream for dinner. There was just too much of it. I think I liked Korg because how little of it there was in whatever.
Yeah. So then Thor murders the shit out of Zeus by throwing his lightning bolt back through his chest. Which, if this had any kind of consequence, I would have enjoyed, but it's like just a throwaway kind of gag almost, and whatever. Well,
yeah, I think my issue comes with the fact that we need to get these all-powerful gods to come save us. And then I understand he realizes that the gods are selfish. You know, Russell Crowe tells him like, hey, I don't care. Like, your people, your problem. You know, you're the god of the Asgardians, they're your problem. They're not my problem. But when he murders Zeus, and everyone is just like, well, bye. Like, no one does anything to stop him.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, that could have been like a fun, neat action scene, but no, it's probably better if we just leave.
They make a reference to it. He's like, oh, I guess we're going to have a whole bunch of gods coming after us soon. Where it's like, yeah, that's okay.
All right.
So they escape. We've got actually, there's the best dramatic sequence in this movie happens around here. Thor and Jane are talking on the deck of the boat. And he, professes his love for her, and he's like, hey, I want to feel shitty about you. And he goes back to it, and he's stammering and it's bad. And then her response is, I have cancer. And her delivery is great, but he does this really almost sort of like, what is happening?
Mm-hmm.
Like this confused utterance, like, oh, this is actually really great. And her going, oh no, what am I saying? I don't mean that. I was just saying something stupid. And it was really like kind of true to life. It really worked for me.
Yeah, I didn't love their initial tete-a-tete after the kids got stolen, as I mentioned, but like, even when they're forming the plan and like they have this weird like, oh, you left. Well, technically you left. It just felt like, I don't know, an episode of Friends or something. It felt out of place. But at this point, I think like, well, it's been established that the kids are in danger, but right now they're in a cage and like we know where they're at. That's fine. And this is a moment they're on the way to do this, and this takes time to get there. So we can have this conversation, this character building moment. It felt more aptly placed. And so I appreciated that a little bit more, and I thought that they were both great in that scene. I enjoyed that.
Now, here's the real question, though: is there no space medicine?
Yeah, no.
Like, why are we just like? I mean, Earth is kind of backwoods. Like, can't you bring her to like some floating godhead from nowhere from Guardians of the Galaxy? I mean, is there not those golden people from that one movie? Do they not have good medicine?
Yeah,
it seems
they'll find a way later because they just can't now because it's not convenient. They'll figure it out later. I mean, that's what I mean. It doesn't.
She's
matter.
dead, so
they'll find a way. No one dies in superhero movies. I mean, it's comics. They'll find a way.
Well, actually, she does come back from Valhalla in the comics. She comes back as a Valkyrie.
Yeah, they'll figure it out because it's and it's not even just like, I don't even just mean to be glib about it in the sense of like, oh, it's a comic movie, but it's also like in the Thor universe, or particularly this movie, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. All right. So we referenced this before. They go to the Shadow Realm, and it turns all black and white and atmospheric, and it's cool. And then the goats slam into the planet, and I thought that was a really stupid joke at the wrong time.
I got a kick out of it just because I was not expecting it. And like, it was, I think because it was like build up to this thing. And then because it stayed creepy after that, it didn't bother me so much. I understand like, yeah, it kind of deflated that moment, but then I was interested back when they were on there because I thought it looked really neat. And I had read previously, which was perhaps unfair to the movie in this regard, but I'd read previously a little thing about how they did it. Because like they didn't just like, oh, we'll film it and then make it black and white. Like it was a whole thing where how they did like lighting passes and all this stuff. And they like these infrared cameras.
Yeah.
And it was really kind of fascinating. And I think it looks fantastic. I do wish, because the planet is small. You get the sense that they're approaching the planet, but no, it's like the Little Prince planet. And that's where they think that, or they know that Gore has taken the children. And they find the empty cage. And they find where Gore has been living. And it reminded me a bit of Alien Covenant. And making me think of Alien Covenant isn't a bad move because it's not a better movie. But because he's got like weird drawings and he's been doing his research there. And then it's a trap because they find out he needs Stormbreaker to use the Bifrost to access eternity. Which they're like, what's that? The Thor and Valkyrie know what it is, right? Or am I getting that wrong?
Yes. Yeah, it's like this mythical wish-granting entity at the center of the universe, and it seems like they're aware of it, or at least know it as like a myth.
Yeah. So Jane throws Stormbreaker out of the hut to try to get away from him. They attack. And it's a neat fight scene. I kind of wish they do it only like once, but I wish they would have like gone for a more like bird's eye view of the planet a few times to see like the destruction, the fighting of like, here these people having this epic fight on this small space.
One of the things I like about this fight is that magic, when it goes off, adds color to the black and white sequence, which, it just looks really beautiful.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. Like when she's using Mjolnir to light her way, and it just adds a little bit of color.
Yeah.
It's not ridiculous.
So Valkyrie gets stabbed by the Necro sword, and they Bifrost back to Earth, but at the last second, Gore grabs Stormbreaker, and that's bad, because he's gonna, it's bad. And back on Earth, Jane is back to being very, very cancery.
Mm-hmm.
Like she is not looking good.
No,
she's looking. You know what she's looking like? She's looking morbid.
Wait, Morbius?
Yeah.
Oh no.
He looks like all like shitty in that movie because he's sick.
Yeah. She should drink some fake blood and then do nothing for an hour and a half.
Hey, speaking of Morbius, if anybody out there wants to hear John and I hate everything, sign up for the Patreon because we just reviewed Morbius.
Yeah.
So patreon.com/Alex Bolin. Alex with two X's. Link is on johnalexhatestuff.com. Sign up. We got a whole bunch of episodes on there. It'd be great. You'll like it.
That's a rum go, that Morbius. But yeah, so now's the time when everyone is in danger of dying, but then they don't. That's all I really remember that happens here. Because Valkyrie is like, oh no, they killed Valkyrie. No, she's fine.
Yeah, she gets stabbed. Jane's super sick. They have this thing where they say I love you to each other. They realize that her becoming the Mighty Thor is stopping the cancer treatment from working. And Thor's like, no, I need you to be around for longer. And this, you got to stay here. I'll go and beat up Gore by myself.
I did like that element that the thing she was seeking out as a cure, the Mjolnir, was actually like, oh yeah, I mean that's great when you're Lady Thor, but when you're not Lady Thor, and I'm sorry, I don't know if there's a different name for it than Lady Thor. It's like
she's Mighty Thor.
Mighty Thor. Okay, when you're Mighty Thor, yeah, you're fine, but you can't be Mighty Thor forever. You have to, turn back into Jane at some point, and then. I just thought I was not expecting that to be the case. I figured it'd be like, no, I'm fine now. I have the power of Thor. So,
no, it's a nice and it sets up the kind of sacrifice she's going to make.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they go. He travels to eternity and meets up with the kids. He empowers them with the power of Thor for a short time basis, which I begrudgingly like this scene. It's so stupid. It's so silly, but I like little kids just beating the shit out of stuff. It was fun to watch.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that's basically my reaction too. Again, enough with the Guns N' Roses, but okay, it was fine. I did like, I don't know, when it got like a little too cute, like when they're like holding out weapons and the one kid has just like a stuffed rabbit. It was, yeah, whatever.
The girl with the fairy wand and she's like kind of dressed up in like fairy attire, kicking ass. That I did. That crossed the adorable threshold. Where we're like, all right,
it's just I'm just there. Being just pummeled with jokes that aren't very funny, and so I don't. When they do hit, they just sort of mildly hit now. So it didn't hurt. I guess I'll say that. I wasn't in pain watching it.
So yeah, there's a fun. There's a sequence. Thor almost dies, and Jane shows up, and he has a really great reaction of just like Jane, no, of like it's a heartbreaking thing. Chris Hemsworth is a good actor. It's annoying because he's also handsome and funny, and fuck you. And it's a cool sequence. She like uses the explodey powers of the new Mjolnir to absorb the pieces of the Necro sword.
Yeah, she breaks the sword and then absorbs
that was badass.
It. That was cool. There's a payoff here that it ultimately doesn't matter, but that was a thing that was talking about hurting to watch. The conversation of her trying to come up with a catchphrase, like the joke of when she tries to say something like it's Bifrost time or something, it takes off, and he's like, "Is this a catchphrase?" And Tessa Thompson's like, "Yeah, there's a lot of them." But then when they have a whole conversation about what she should say, and it's like, "It's eat my hammer." It was so forced, and I don't know if that's Natalie. I don't think it's Natalie Portman. I think it's just the script. It was really not funny.
Well, the problem is that Natalie Portman's character didn't have much character in the first two movies. That I think they were just trying to give her something, and that's the best they came up with.
Went, let's have her talk like every other Marvel character.
Yeah,
or just that tone.
So in breaking with tradition, this movie ends with a laser pointed horizontally instead of towards the sky. So refreshing. And they go to Eternity, who is this like ancient creature that can grant wishes. In an actual change of the way movies end, the bad guy's defeated by just kind of logic and love.
Destroyed by logic.
Where it's Thor, it just gives an impassioned plea of you can choose instead of revenge, choose love.
Yeah.
And, it was, I don't know, I thought it was pretty effective. I liked it. I know you don't like movies in space that end with love.
No, but I think they sold it well. I think it's a little anime bullshit, but I think, because I was also thinking at the time, like, well, why didn't anyone find this Eternity thing to reverse the snap if the gods knew about it? Why wasn't that a thing? Whatever. Doesn't matter. But it's just like, you keep finding all these ways to just, these cosmic things that just make the snap seem so much less important. And I think that kind of bothers me. Anyway, but yeah, so they're in this thing where Eternity lies. And yeah, Jane is dying, and Thor gives this impassioned speech to Gore. But I also just think that, like, Marvel tends to do this. The first thing that comes to mind is Killmonger, where it's like their heroes are or like their villains are right. Like Killmonger was right about Wakanda. Gore is right. The gods suck. Why is it bad what he's doing?
Well, I mean, I would say that not all the gods are bad. We did see a bunch of shitty ones, but like Thor's pretty all right. You know, presumably there's, you know, even if there's one good god amongst all the bad ones, it's still probably pretty bad to kill him.
Oh, it's only a few bad apples, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I guess. I mean, the god of apples wasn't there, but I assume he was.
But it's just that
Johnny Appleseed in the background.
Because the point is like for this thing where like apparently the Necro Sword is like killing him and getting into his brain and all this stuff. For him to be like, oh yeah, good point. Felt a little like tidy.
Well, no, because the Necro Sword got destroyed. So I think this is the first time we're like seeing the same gore that we met in the first few minutes of the film. Because you even see his skin gets more of like a pinkish hue.
That's true. Yeah. But I mean, it just felt a little pat. I mean, it's not bad. It was a lovely scene. Like I said, they sold it. So it
worked, and I'm just glad it didn't end. I mean, we did get a big fight sequence, but it didn't end on the bad guy getting defeated in battle. It was like legitimately a conversation ends the film, which, you know, for a Marvel movie, that's nice.
Yeah, but it also just that like the fact that because he's like, well, I could bring her back, but you know, I won't be alive. Well, I'll be alive to take care of her. And like, yeah, okay, but it's my daughter. Like that's part of the thing is that I wanted to spend time with her. Fair enough.
Well, you know, maybe you should have fucking lived closer to a goddamn lake.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Maybe don't live in the desert, genius. It's fine. But yeah, I totally agree that I'm always for a blockbuster like that where it's not just ending with just a big fight scene or someone falling off something.
Yeah.
And yeah, so he reincarnates the daughter and then Thor adopts her. And so that's a Hemsworth, that kid?
No, one of the kids that's like in the battle sequence. I think maybe the little fairy girl is a Hemsworth. It's just one of the group Asgardians.
I see.
I mean, Gore's daughter might be a Hemsworth too, but I mean, the one I was aware of was just a kind of background player in the little kid scene where they do the Tree of Life, where they get the Yggdrasil.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we get more Korg voiceover. It turns out he met a nice another Cronin named Dwayne, and is going to make a little Cronin baby with him. Cool. Which, yeah, whatever. And then we get Thor and little girl that I don't know her name, and they're living in a spaceship together, and they go out and just start kicking some ass. And around the universe, they're known as Love and Thunder, and we get the title finally.
Mm-hmm.
Cute ending. I like him saying "protect the stripey ones." You know, talk about the aliens, and yeah, it's.
I do like the we fight the good fight for those that don't fight good.
Yeah.
That like clumsy turn of phrase. I did enjoy that. I don't know if that was just in this one or was there before, but I got a kick out of it.
It's satisfying ending. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was cute enough. I think like when the kid's shooting lasers at him and he's like, yeah, whatever. I thought that was a bit. Come on, have some discipline.
Yeah, I guess, but I mean, you're a god. He's fine.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It's fine.
It doesn't matter. It was.
If your kid throws
cute
Cheerios
enough.
at you, you think it's cute. That's probably the equivalent of throwing Cheerios at a god.
Yeah, and like I mean, Hemsworth is charming enough that it's all good.
So let's talk about the after credit sequences that apparently you were too lazy at your job, your full-time job at Jaws, to sit through. Did you watch the first one?
I watched the first one, and I'm like, okay, don't make me sit through another one. Come on. That's ridiculous.
So the first one, turns out Zeus is still alive, which I'm actually kind of fine with, because I mean, killing like the biggest, baddest god like instantaneously, I'm fine with him being alive. And he's like, I'm going to sick a Hercules at you. And Hercules is that guy from Ted Lasso.
Yeah, I don't know Ted Lasso, but
it's Brett Goldstein, I think.
What a not threat. I'm going to send a soccer hooligan after you. Booga booga. Yeah. Who gives a shit? He just killed, the god killer. What's I don't care. Like that meant nothing.
Another yoke guy with he's got like a weird mallet looking thing instead of a hammer.
No.
Oh shit.
Yeah. I'm sure if I read Marvel comics I could point and clap, but I don't care. It seems like no threat whatsoever.
Yeah, he is a Marvel comic guy and he's got shit to do with Thor, but I'm not, I didn't read those books. In after credit sequence number 2, Jane arrives in Valhalla, and Heimdall, played by handsome McHandsome guy,
Idris Elba.
He's like, hey, Jane Foster, so it turns out you're dead. And she's like, yep. He's like, well, welcome to the city of the gods. Welcome to Valhalla. And that's it. That's the whole ending.
Okay. So is it because Jane was the mighty Thor, she got to go into Valhalla, because he specifically told Sif she couldn't go into Valhalla because she didn't die in battle. Jane didn't die in battle. She died on a lake talking to somebody.
Well, she died due to... yeah, I don't... maybe her battle with cancer?
Okay. Sure. Fine. I do not care either way, but I don't either. Made me wonder.
And that's it. That was Thor: Love and Thunder. I think it's a fine movie. It's fun to watch. It feels like Taika was like distracted or something. Like it doesn't hold together really well. The pacing's weird, but for the parts that I like so much that I'm like, I'm good with sitting through some of the other shit. And the other shit's not like offensively bad. It's just a bit I think uneven and a little bit boring. I
think tonally I had issues with it. I think it's because, and some of that is Taika Waititi just like, I can't have human emotions without making a joke, which I get. I sympathize. I do the same thing. But it's hard to sell a actual pathos with that. It was an enjoyable watch. I liked it a lot better than Ragnarok, honestly. I thought it was a more focused movie. One of my big beefs with Ragnarok, if we ever do that, I'll go into this more, is that the Cate Blanchett stuff felt like a completely different movie and tacked on. This was just more simple and solid focused. I know there's some complaints about it feels like an unnecessary MCU movie. They're all unnecessary. If this one didn't further the lore, whatever, fine. I don't know. It's like there was that talk, the rumor of wanting to make a Thor and Hulk hangout movie. That's fine. Just do that. I don't need everything to further the lore. Thor can just go do other things, and maybe it's time to be done with that character. Yeah, that's fine too. I don't particularly care. But this was an enjoyable enough watch. This killed some time positively.
Exactly.
And we really only like glanced over it because he doesn't do too much. But Christian Bale is so great. Like when he's like, he eats up the scenes when he's like got to be the bad guy. Like when he's like terrorizing the kids.
Yeah, we skipped over the Octi scene where he's like, I'm Octi. He's doing this high voice and then rips the thing's head off. And he's like, what, you liked me a minute ago? It was really, really, really creepy. He's
totally doing like the artful dodger, like just British villain. It's ridiculous. But you can tell he's having fun with it. Plus he gets to, get all skinny and do weird stuff with his body again. He loves it. But then when it's time to have like pathos, he does that well. I wish they would have done more with him. I would watch an entire Gore the God Butcher movie of him just killing all the gods with the Necro Sword. That sounds awesome. But yeah, he's definitely great. Definitely a highlight.
John, have you been watching or imbibing any kind of media that you would recommend to the audience recently?
Yes. We are running out of time with it being, well, we're recording this on the 22nd. There's going to be even less time. At the end of this month, right before October, in the great purge that is happening to HBO Max, they're getting rid of The Empty Man, which we did an episode of about last year. Halloween. It is a fantastic, weird horror movie. Super slow burn, but it's the reason I bring it up is that there's no physical version of this. There's no Blu-ray to buy. Right now, it's just really on like HBO Max, and then it's going to go, I think, to iTunes or something like that. Like it's going to fade even further away into obscurity. So if you've not watched it yet, take the time and watch it. It's really good. It's not
it's a cool movie.
Yeah, it's not what you expect. It's a weird one, but I enjoyed the hell out of it.
I am going to recommend. Boy, a lot of stuff I've been watching is terrible lately. So let's go with She-Hulk. I like She-Hulk. Tatiana Maslany is a delightful actress. The CGI in the show is terrible, but if you can look past that, writing's crisp. She's a great actress. That's it. It's better Marvel. It's one of the good TV shows. And Charlie Cox is going to show up in a new episode, and they showed a clip from it, and they just smolder together in the scene. Like, oh, the fuck eyes they have between one another. So looking forward to watching that.
He was Daredevil, right?
Yes.
Cool. I'm glad they're bringing him back. I liked him as an actor. I thought that series was way too long, and really the only good part was Vincent D'Onofrio. But he's not terrible. As long as they leave Foggy out of it, I'm fine.
And they're doing another season of it on HBO, on Disney Plus, and apparently D'Onofrio is involved. So
great. It's just I hope they learn that one of my big thing with all the Netflix Marvel shows was like, just do 8 episodes. You don't need to do 13. You're not on a network. You don't have seasons to hit. All of them felt way too long.
So, John, what would you like to watch for next episode?
Well, I was very taken with the idea of the gods, all the different gods, and wanting to hear more of their stories. And I thought it might be neat to see a movie about like either a person or a group of people that like they can do what they want to do, say what they want to say, maybe live how they want to live, play how they want to play, even dance how they want to dance, perhaps even kick and then slap a friend.
Okay. Now, in this group of people, now I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but in this kind of dance and slapping your friends, could it possibly be the Mamushka?
The Mamushka. Yes, that sounds great. I like that.
Good. So apparently John and I are going to go to a bar and play Addams Family Pinball.
Play Junkyard, which inexplicably has that mode.
Yes. So we are going to do the original Addams Family. Well, not the original. The one with
Raul Julia.
Anjelica Houston and
Raul Julia.
God, no, I wasn't trying to think of Raul Julia. I was trying to remember his name in Street Fighter.
Oh, M. Bison?
I was trying to remember M. Bison, and I wasn't coming up with it. I knew, no, Raul Julia I had, but I was like, what the fuck is his name?
I was going to say, like, that's offensive that you don't remember Raul Julia, but it's even more offensive you don't remember M. Bison.
Well, every movie I watch to you, it's a very special day, but anytime I watch it, it's like a Tuesday.
Vaya con Dios. Yeah, they're remaking that, and they picked Luis Guzman as Gomez, which I think is great. Like, I like Luis Guzman, and like as far as the original design of those characters, I think that fits great. I think his wig looks awful, but it's going to be hard pressed to beat Raul Julia because my memory is I think he's great in this, and so we'll see if that holds up.
That is my memory as well. And John Astin, you can go suck a dick.
Yeah, go to hell, John Astin. We've said that from episode 1. We stand by it.
We are an anti-Astin podcast. Sean Astin's fine, but John, fuck you.
Ooh, you know what you did, John Astin.
All right, so we will see you next episode for The Addams Family.
Bye-bye.
Bye.